Hey everyone, welcome back to the Book Cave with me, Jenny. So today I've got for you my April wrap up, and I actually got through quite a bit of books this month. So I'm just going to dive right into that. Welcome to the Hunan Dong Bookshop was pretty much an instant bestseller from my understanding, and being that it's definitely about a bookstore, I wanted to read it, and it was good. I did enjoy it. I liked the kind of relaxed atmosphere, and there was a couple quotes that I really liked, and this is one from the owner of the bookshop when she goes to hire an employee. She says, "You need rest to work, and to rest, you need a certain level of income to live comfortably." And it's such a simple concept, but to see her actually put that into practice, I really liked. And then we have another one that says, "The amount of fun in work is very much tied to workload, so she was careful not to let her work and Min-jun's cross that threshold." And that again just kind of goes along with that whole thing. And no matter how much you enjoy what you do, if you overwork yourself, you won't enjoy it. And then the final one I have, this is one. Oh, actually, no, I have one more. Okay, couple more. So, because harmony is preceded by dissonance, that's why we think life is beautiful. And just, these quotes, I absolutely love the quotes in this book. And so now Min-jun says, "Why can't I live a mundane life? Well, it's true that forcing yourself to find something would be tough. My mom is the same. I don't get why people see a mundane life as a bad thing. Sometimes I'd rather she forced me to study instead of trying to make me look for something interesting. Isn't life just about going through the motions of living? We live because we were born." And this is from a teenage character. And that just really hits on, I feel like, what a lot of teenagers kind of feel like, especially at the point he's at, getting ready to graduate high school. You have to figure out what do I want to do with my life. And I do feel like that is very relatable. And again, just absolutely a beautiful quote. And now this is one of the things that did annoy me in the book. We have a divorce going on, and it was, honestly, I would say kind of a no fault. They grew apart, they became too different. But the woman, Young-ju, who is the bookshop owner, she says, "Instead of giving up my way of life to love him, I gave up on him to pursue my life. I put myself first." And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, could you all have worked it out? Maybe, but I feel like she just holds so much self-hatred over this. And that's one thing that I really did not enjoy, was that part. Now, thankfully, that is very brief in this book. I definitely recommend this book, and the characters do really grow throughout these little short scenes. And the bits of prose I read, I think they're absolutely lovely, and there's a lot more like that in the book. Those were just some of my favorites. So if you like books about books, and this all sounds like something you would like, I definitely encourage you pick this up. So I finally finished one of the Harlequin Present books that my coworker gave me quite a while ago. She gave them to me about a year ago, and I've been slowly going through them and picking out the ones that sound at least semi-interesting to me to put aside and read when I feel like it, and then getting rid of the ones that just don't sound interesting to me at all. So this is Captive But Forbidden, which is about Veronica, who is the playgirl, party girl, turned president of a small country, and her father was president before her. And Raj, who is a ex-special forces, now bodyguard for hire. And I did find the premise pretty interesting. So she's, as I said, the president of this small country. She's getting threats, and she's not sure where they're coming from. So one of her trusted bodyguards hires Raj as additional security, and between Veronica and Raj, they decide that since we don't know where the threat's coming from, it could be coming from inside. In order to not tip our hands, we'll pretend to be in a relationship. And of course, things become real after then. And I enjoyed the first half. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed seeing the characters get to know each other and learn that, they're not exactly what the other thought they were. Veronica's not just a party girl. She was very smothered, and so that was her way of acting out. And Raj is not just some, big emotionless asshole of a man. He actually does care. And once I got to the halfway part, though, I felt like the characters weren't really developed. The relationship wasn't really developed. And it was over a course of about 3 days. And I feel like if there had just been communication, that half of this stuff wouldn't have happened. And there could have been more concentration on the couple getting to know each other rather than the drama. However, I am not necessarily a fan of just these straight, there's nothing but romance. And especially for some reason, the way the Harlequin Presents are written, just I don't particularly enjoy. I've read a couple of them before, that were in this batch of books that I got and just didn't enjoy them. So, yeah, if you do enjoy the Harlequin, I do think you would enjoy this. And I did like the fact that, it was a little more actiony than most romances, and that the couple was on pretty solid footing. I felt like, I did feel like they both respected each other after their initial meeting when they got to know each other. So that was obviously a good part of it. But yeah, if you're not into Harlequin romances, or you're not really into romances in general, the only thing I could say about this in that case is it is short, and I did read it in one sitting at least. And the first half, like I said, was good. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt for sure. So I listened to All Roads Lead Here, and I actually really, really enjoyed this one. I liked it a lot better than The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. For one, even though Tobias Rhodes was a little bit standoffish and quiet, I do feel like he definitely showed that he cared about Aurora. And it was a lot easier to see than it was with Adrian in The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. And another thing I really, really liked is the relationship he had with Amos, his technically biological son, but he was a donor for his friends because the husband had had an accident and could no longer father a child, but they still both really wanted a child. So he said, well, I'll be a donor, but I want to be in the child's life. And I just thought that that was really sweet, and it's definitely something that you don't see a lot. And I also really loved how Amos and Aurora came to become friends and get to know each other really well, and just have a really sweet and fun dynamic. And then I also liked that the drama was not drug out, like, at all. It was maybe a chapter, and I don't feel like any of it was really blown out of proportion. Like, yes, Aurora did go and get her stuff, but she wasn't intending to leave. It was just I'm visiting a friend for the night to let this blow over. And I feel like that's a pretty reasonable response. And so, yeah, overall, I did really, really like this book, and I definitely think it's one of Mariana Zapata's best. And if I'm in the mood for a slow burn romance, then I will definitely be picking up more of her books, because they're definitely slow burn, but they're also definitely, really well written and have a very well thought out plot and some really fun characters. So I listened to Bride, which is Ali Hazelwood's first foray into the Omegaverse, and it was okay. It was basically the same type of voice as her other books. It did read a lot like fan fiction at times, but it wasn't bad. If you're in the mood for a romance, she does write some fun romances, and this is a romance with a little paranormal twist. And she does attempt to do some world building, but I definitely do still have some questions, and I would love to see like some more backstory to this. And I did enjoy the way that Misery and Lo kind of got to know each other, and I feel like they didn't really just like jump into everything. I feel like they did get to know each other pretty well. And so, yeah, overall, it was a pretty good book. And if you like Ali Hazelwood, you would definitely like this. And if you do not like Ali Hazelwood, then I don't think you would like this, because, like I said, it is very similar to her other books. It's definitely not a carbon copy, but it is very similar. I finished listening to The Serpents and the Wings of Night, and this was actually really good compared to what I thought it would be. I thought it would be definitely heavier on the romance, but I feel like the Kajari was explored very well. The world building was done relatively well. There was a lot of political intrigue, especially later on in the book, and the ending, I felt like, was really well done, had a really good cliffhanger, and it didn't feel like it just kind of trailed off and was like, oh, I just want to try to make 2 books. It felt like it was definitely intentional that this was meant to be 2 books, like always. And yeah, the only real complaint I have is that the listening to it was probably not the best way to go about it, because there's quite a bit of lore and quite a bit of characters, and so I did get a little confused at times listening to it. And this is definitely one that I would like to read as actual text, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I'm definitely looking forward to book 2. And I would say this definitely gives off Hunger Game vibes, but more dangerous. So if you like Hunger Games and vampires, this is definitely a good book to check out. So I finished listening to The Cat Who Saved Books, and this is about a cat named Tiger the Tabby and a high school boy named Rintaro who lives in a bookshop that his grandfather owned. And I thought this was a pretty fun little book. However, I didn't really feel like there was that much stakes in it. And I guess this would be considered maybe more of a cozy fantasy. Perhaps a cozy portal fantasy, really, because they go to these different labyrinths, and basically Rintaro has to save books with the help of this cat. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but it just, as I said, it lacked immediacy, and the issues with the books, like not rereading, I feel like that's really a personal choice, and like it's not a huge deal. And then the second one was about like summarizing books, and again, I feel like that's not necessarily a big deal, and it could maybe, I just want a plot synopsis to know if I'm going to read the book or not, and it can maybe get people to pick up the full-length book. So yeah, like I said, it was different. So I listened to Leslie Jordan's essay collection, How Y'all Doing? And I really enjoyed it. There were some pretty funny bits and some, really poignant moments mixed in. And I love the fact that he read it himself, so you get like his delivery on it. And yeah, he's such character. Very much character. And it was very sad to hear, when he passed away in the accident last year. And yeah, I definitely will miss him, and I wish like I had found him sooner, because I didn't know he was in like everything that he was. He was in a lot of American Horror Story, and apparently in like Will and Grace, which of course, Will and Grace I didn't really watch. American Horror Story I've wanted to watch, and so where I knew him from was actually Masked Singer, and that's kind of what drew me to wanting to listen to this. But yeah, if you're a fan of comedy, if you're a fan of him, I would say definitely give this a try. It's short and very easily accessible, and is just, I feel like, really well written. Yokai Cats is written by the same author who wrote The Evil Secret Society of Cats, and I actually really like Yokai Cats more. I just feel like it's a lot cuter, and I feel like the plot, even though there isn't really much of one, kind of makes more sense there, and I feel like the humor hits more. And so we have many different type of cat, and my favorite one is the Rokurokubi, which is the long neck cat who can stretch his neck, or her neck, I should say, in however long she wants it to be. And this is pretty funny because like cats love Japanese kotatsu heated tables, and so she'll sleep under there, and when it's time to eat, she'll simply stretch her neck out so that now her head and mouth are by her food bowl. And she'll stand on the floor and use it to drink water out of a vase and stuff like that. And it's just cute and very funny. I also really like the Nodokabe, or plaster wall, and not the big one, but the babies specifically. They're absolutely hilarious, and I love seeing them interact with each other and their owner. And the other one is... uh-oh. And I lost the name of it. But there's another one that his whole body can stretch. And he is also very funny, the same way that the neck stretcher is. And yeah, I just feel like the ideas behind all the different cats are very cute and very well done. And I do like that they're not just all introduced in the first book. I read 7 volumes, and there's still like 1 or 2 new cats introduced in each one, or there'll be one that you just briefly see before, and now you get a little bit of a longer story. And the final thing that I like, I don't know how well this is going to show up, but the pages are rainbow colored. And so as you're flipping through, like all of these light peach ones are about one cat, and then you have a slightly darker pinky peach is about another, and then it goes into a peachy orange is another, and then we have like a tangerine orange, and this is Tama, the long neck, and there she is under the kotatsu, and I just find that absolutely hilarious. I don't know why, but yeah, Tam is definitely one of my favorites. And yeah, it's just a really cute series, and I love the presentation of it. And if you are a cat lover, or if you want a fun manga, I would definitely say, check this out. I will say they are, I believe, $14.99 it says. Yeah, they're $14.99, and they're tiny. Tiny, tiny. So definitely try to get it from your library. Like, no shade. But, like, yeah, I just feel like this is too expensive. That is my personal opinion on it. But it's definitely fun and worth checking out. So I started the manga series Love's in Sight, and I've read just the first volume so far, but I really, really love it. I absolutely fell in love with it. And it follows a young girl, well, not really young, she's 16, but a 16-year-old girl named Yukiko Akaza, and an 18-year-old boy, Mario Korikawa. And Yukiko has a degenerative eye disease, and so she is slowly going blind. Right at this point in the story, she is still partially sighted, but she does use a cane and go to a school for the blind. And then you have Morio, who is kind of a delinquent. He's a fighter, and everybody's scared of him, but he's actually really, really sweet. And Yukiko sees that in him. Like, she sees his sweetness. And I just thought it was really, really cute. And I absolutely love, like, some of the stuff that happens. Like, we have Morio, he goes to a video store because he wants to rent a video that he can watch with Yukiko. And when he goes into the store, he sees that, okay, they only have a self-checkout. The aisles are very small. It's very dim. And so, he's thinking about, well, for somebody who has vision impairment, having the self-checkout would be very hard. The way the videos are labeled is very hard for them. And then he goes even further that, these these aisles being so narrow will make it hard for people in wheelchairs. And so he comes to meet the owner's mother, and she's not scared of him like most people are. And it's really, really sweet, and it has some really good points in it. There's a chapter with Yukiko and her older sister, and Mori has given Yukiko a pair of high heels because she's mentioned that if she was 4 inches taller, she would be at the right height for him to speak directly into her ear so that she could catch like nuances of tone better. And so he buys her high heels, but of course with the vision impairment she usually doesn't wear them. And so her sister gets very worried about her, and she says to her sister, look, just watch what I do, watch me. And so she goes and gets an outfit, and her sister's very worried about her, and she says, no, think about it. She said, I did this. I got the outfit I wanted. I'm fine. You need to look at me and see me, not your fears for me. And yeah, this is one of my new favorite mangas now, and I absolutely had to record a video on volume 1 just because there was so much in it. And these are very short chapters. The first volume has 23 chapters plus a bonus chapter. So yeah, if you want something that's really sweet but has some really heartfelt moments, I can definitely recommend this. And it also has some really funny moments. So yeah, I hope you all will check this out because I just absolutely love it just from this one volume. So I finished up to volume 6 of Love's in Sight, and this is just a really, really cute series. I absolutely love it, and I feel like it does a really good job showing the disability that several different characters have, but it doesn't make that the characters like only point, and they still have many other different things that they go through. And I really liked when Yukiko was trying to find a job, and I love how they showed that it takes just a little extra effort, but to put that hour of extra effort in, now Yukiko can work there perfectly fine and be just as productive as anybody else and be just as comfortable as everybody else there. And I just absolutely loved the showcase of that. I also loved the showcase of each of the different types of visual disabilities that the 3 characters have. So you have Yukiko, who she has a full field of vision, but she cannot really see any details. She can see light and dark and like blurs of color. And then you have Sora, who has basically only peripheral vision, but she again cannot see fine details. She's nearsighted, I believe they say, and she's also extremely light sensitive. And then you have Aono, who is what you would consider traditionally blind. He cannot see anything at all, although he can differentiate between if it's dark or light out. That's the only difference. And the way that each of these characters navigate the world and their outlooks are quite different. And I just really enjoyed that. I think this is just a really compelling book series with some really great characters. And yeah, it's definitely a new favorite for me. So that's all the books I read in April, with the exception of 2 volumes of the Apothecary Diaries. And I hope to finish that manga this month in May and do a review for it in my May wrap up. And I'm also going to go ahead and do a little bit of a book haul because I went to the library again and got a few books. So let me grab those. So the first one I got is What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. And this is translated from the Japanese. And I looked through it a little bit, and it is 5 chapters following 5 different people. And I believe it's basically they all kind of learn to love the library again and find some like solace there. And there are definitely 5 people from all different types of walks. I believe one of them is actually a librarian. One is a like 33-year-old career woman, and then another one is a retired gentleman. He just turned 65 and just retired, and I'm not sure what the other ones are, but yeah, it sounds interesting, and it was something I'd been looking for a while. I was going to read it digitally, but then I saw the library had it physically, and there wasn't even a wait for it. It was in my local library. I didn't have to wait to come from another branch. So I'm going to grab that, and I did. And yeah, I'm hoping I'll get to this in May as well, but we'll see because I do have a bunch of other plans. And then I got Never Never and Fire and Fate. I don't think I've spoken about the Villains series on my channel, but it is a series that I picked up several years ago, and these are the newest 2. And yeah, it's an interesting little series. It's a different take on the villain. Why was Captain Hook bad? Why was Hades, the way he is? And that's basically the idea behind it. And then, I left him over here. Along with that, I have the 2 graphic novels, which are Evil Thing and Fairest of All, which is obviously Cruella, and The Evil Queen. And I looked through these, and it's definitely interesting. They're monochrome, duochrome, and green is my favorite color, so I do kind of like that one. This one, I guess, is more of like a tri color, or like kind of a washed out with like a red wash almost, it looks like. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to read those and see how they compare to the actual novels since I've read those. Then I got The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, and this is one I've heard a couple people talk about, and all I know is it's Victorian, and that's honestly about it. And it's supposed to be, I believe, like a ghost story. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what I think of that. And then I picked up a Melanie Dickerson book, which is The Princess Spy. And this is basically about a young princess who is looking for love and winds up becoming a spy. So that sounded kind of interesting to me as well. We'll see, again, what I think of that. And then the final thing I got was Clap When You Land, which is the final, for right now at least, Elizabeth Acevedo book that I have not read. I read With the Fire on High, or rather listened to it, and The Poet X I read earlier this year. And this is also a book in prose, and, or I'm sorry, not in prose, in poetry. And this follows 2 African Dominican girls, one living in the US, one living in the Dominican Republic. And neither of them know about each other until the day father's plane goes down. And then there's a whole bunch of like family secrets. And I do like Elizabeth Acevedo's writing, and this was one that I had checked out digitally, but when I walked into the library to get some of these other books that were on hold, actually the Villains series, I went ahead and picked this up because I was like, if I can read it physically, I will. And then I got A Short Walk Through a Wide World. And this is about a girl who literally has to keep moving or she will die. And apparently she'll die pretty gory because it says, in Paris, 1885, Aubrey Tourvel, a spoiled and stubborn 9-year-old girl, came across a wooden puzzle ball on her walk home from school. She tosses it over a fence, only to find it in her backpack that evening. Days later, at the family dinner table, she starts to bleed to death. So it definitely sounds interesting in that, she has to keep moving or that will happen. And it's supposed to be about, how the journey is what truly, makes you. And this also reminds me of an American legend that you may or may not have heard of, the Winchester Mystery House. Which, if any of you have any suggestions for books about that, I would definitely be interested in it because I've heard a lot about it. I know a little bit about that, but I'd definitely like to learn more. So yeah, that is everything I have for you today. All the books I read in my little mini book haul. And as always, if you liked this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and see all the bookish content I post. And thank you for joining me in the book cave. I will see you next time.